Now that you have downloaded and installed ComponentOne Blazor Edition, let's begin working with the controls. In this example, we'll be working in a Blazor WebAssembly application with the ComponentOne FlexGrid. FlexGrid, our most popular control, is an advanced data grid that enables features such as tabular data editing, sorting, filtering, grouping, and on-demand loading. It also features cell customization, data virtualization, built-in editor controls, and more. In a Blazor WebAssembly application, your C# code runs client-side by downloading and running a small .NET runtime to the client, and then executing it in the browser's UI thread. Blazor WebAssembly applications have no dependency on the server side and can be hosted from multiple environments, serving as an alternative to JavaScript. Blazor WebAssembly applications are perfect when focusing on performance and the scalability of your project. To begin, create a new Blazor WebAssembly application and check the box next to ASP.NET Core Hosted. In your solution, you will see 3 projects suffixed with Client, Server, and Shared. The Client project will house all client-side code, including Blazor components, Razor pages, client-side CSS libraries, and services. All are used to call our .NET Core API. The Server project is the ASP.NET Core project, in which all our APIs and repositories will reside, along with any necessary configurations to connect to the SQL Server. The Shared project will include the data models and is shared between the client and server projects. First, we create a new employee class to act as our data model in the Shared project. This will include the properties associated with an employee, along with their respective getter and setter methods. Next, set up your SQL connection string in the application settings under your server project. Now, we will create a class, an accompanying interface, and a database context, all within our server project. This will handle any CRUD operations as we alter employee information in our database. These will need to be registered in the startup.cs file. Lastly, we will create our .NET Core API as an API controller within our server project to handle the CRUD operations we created earlier. We now have an API layer ready to be used by our application. These will also need to be registered in our client project's program.cs file. Lastly, we can create our Razor component, which will house the code required to utilize the ComponentOne FlexGrid. After including the proper NuGet packages and using statements at the top of our Razor component, we will set the properties for the FlexGrid in the HTML portion of the file. Here, we can bind the FlexGrid to our database, alter column properties, and utilize other built-in events included with the FlexGrid control that we plan to include in our project. In the code block, we can expand on the events referenced in the HTML portion by including the coded logic that will occur once the events are triggered. Our Blazor FlexGrid control comes with various properties, including filtering, grouping, and cell freezing. These can all be managed directly in your Razor page. Some FlexGrid properties, such as filtering, work best when coupled with other controls, such as the C1 text box. Most properties are referenced twice, once in the FlexGrid HTML portion, and again in the code block where the logic is kept. The code implemented for the properties in this example can be found in our online documentation, along with how-tos, tutorials, and the full API reference. To find specific code examples, you can view our online Blazor Demo Explorer directly from our website. If you have any questions or issues during the installation or trial of ComponentOne, our customer engagement team is ready to help.